and welcome back to the Silent Why podcast. I'm Claire.
And I'm Christopher.
And we're a childless couple after infertility, which is where our passion came from for lots of different kinds of loss. And that's how this podcast was born.
And you didn't question the fact I said I'm Christopher?
No, I didn't. I was so focused on my next line.
It's a very special occasion.
You're right, it's very special.
Yeah, so we're a podcast that explores loss, all kinds of it, all kinds of different permanent loss, and we're looking to see if hope can exist in every kind of grief. We're also a resource to help people get through grief, whether that's after the grief occurs or to equip ourselves even before something like that happens.
And this episode is actually sort of the last one before a summer break, which I've done a few times before. I've had August off podcasting for lots of different reasons. I'm trying to think of what some of them were. I think one of them was a little bit of burnout in the first couple of years. So when we first started the podcast, we used to put out 2 episodes a week, which when I tell people that now, they're just like, what? I'm like, yeah, that was mad. Why did we ever think that was a good idea? I don't know, but that's what we were doing. And then people were having trouble keeping up with the content. I think it was a lot of content. So we made it once a week, and then we made it once every 2 weeks. But yeah, in that first time when we were doing 2 a week, I think we had got to an August at one point, and I was just like, let's have a break, because we don't really break any other time of the year. So that's partly why I like to write, and I wanted to focus on trying to do some finishing touches and things to my novel. So it's always a good time for that. And it's a very noisy time on our estate. So it's a really hard time to do interviews when there's a lot of child noise outside the windows. So that's partly why we stopped in August, and I'm just continuing that.
Some may think of the word estate being like a country pile.
It's true, it's not
a
pile.
Deer with antlers, yeah.
I think you say park, like a country estate.
No, you're living in your mansion in our estate where deer are rutting and groups come in tweed to shoot. That's not the kind of estate we're talking about.
No.
This is suburbia.
Yeah.
So if I was to open the window, I don't know if you can hear it now. Oh, open the window. We have a family. It's all very lovely, but they're playing bat and ball with some children.
You can't hear a thing.
No, you can't. Can you? I'll shut the window. Next door are currently inside. So at some point, we might need a safe word in case they come out. And just as soon as they get on the trampoline in the next garden to where our garden is, it becomes incredibly noisy with screaming and playing, sometimes crying. So, yeah, August can be a very hectic month for trying to record.
It's really difficult to interview someone about grief and loss and these big topics. And sometimes we're talking about loss of children and different things. You know, I think for some podcasts, you could just get away with it. It's background noise, whatever. But I think for us, it feels like it's a bit trickier. So, yeah, that's part of the reason. But also, when you mentioned housing estate, I mentioned when we were in Australia that we lived on a housing estate. And someone told me, like, oh, no, like, you know, you shouldn't be saying. Over there, I think it's like I don't know, I don't think it's a good thing.
Oh.
I think it's like, you know, like over here, the council estates that we've had that got like a bad name, and it's just like that sort of, I don't know, estate. I don't know what we call them nowadays. I don't even know if we have them in the same way. But I think it's like that over there. So when I said we live on a housing estate, that was like that's not a good thing. So depending on different cultures,
Snobs.
They may hear estate very differently.
Snobs.
Anyway, we just live on a housing development, shall we say. There's a lot of houses that overlook our garden and stuff, so yeah. But yeah, so I'm going to break this August. I think we're doing
You're
it...
not going to break.
I'm not going
to take a break.
I'm going to take a break.
To avoid
Who
breaking.
Who knows? I think there is a level of guilt when we do this because... Well, we had a break at the back end of last year when we went to Australia. So it feels like, oh no, we're doing another one. But also, you know, people are helping us to pay to keep this podcast going. And stopping it for any amount of time does... It makes me feel a bit guilty. I know that you feel the same thing. So,
well, only because I don't help you by some of the questions I ask you. That you're like, why are you making me feel guilty?
Yeah, okay, yeah, you make it worse.
I do make it worse.
But you know, I follow a lot of podcasts that have got loads of people following them on Patreon and stuff. And sometimes they stop putting episodes out for 3 months, you know, quite randomly. Quite regularly. So I'm not going to feel too bad about it. I try my best to put out as much as I can. But yes, in August, I am going to have a break. So this is the episode before the break. And normally I do that on my own, just explain why I'm having a break. But you were around and we had some other bits we wanted to share. So
some very exciting
Chris
bits.
Is with
or
me.
One particular. It's a big celebration. I feel like we need to be like presenting each other with gifts. Popping the cork on champagne.
I get really torn about, I get really scared about sharing stuff like this sometimes because yes, it's a really lovely thing for us, but then I don't know, it also makes me feel how small we are as a podcast because I know that's what we're going to share. Some people experience every single week.
Why are you comparing yourself?
I don't know. I'm in a bad place. All this comparison, needing a break.
Yeah, of course. No, for us, it's significant.
It's significant.
And for us and what we do in our amateur enthusiastic hobby podcast way, it's really good news.
Which we've built up so much now that people will be very disappointed by the actual
Yes.
announcement. But yes, why don't you share the news?
We've hit 50 downloads.
That I would be ashamed at, yes. I've actually got the exact number
Of
there,
the
and it is
podcast.
not 50.
No, it's not even 500.
No.
And it's not 5,000. Imagine that, 5,000
Well, we
downloads
wanted
of the podcast.
we wanted to hit 1,000 downloads in our first year. That was our goal. Actually, we started in September, and we said, how cool would it be to hit 1,000 before December? And we did it in the first year, so that was quite cool.
Well, without us expecting anything, because we were not looking at this, we were not building up to it, we were not thinking about it, but suddenly the podcast, provider
host
that we use, the host that we use, or the business that hosts our podcast, we had a notification from the app that we use, and it said, you have reached 50,000 downloads.
You missed out the full figure that I put on the screen.
No, that's what it is now.
Yeah.
That's not what the notification didn't say. Congratulations, you've reached 50,028 downloads.
I like that there was
It
28
said
more.
50,000 downloads.
Yeah, it did.
And we were like, what? I think I even heard you in another room of the house make some sort of noise like, what? We weren't expecting that.
Yeah, and I think
can
that
you
was
believe
on
it? You came and found me and
Sunday.
said, look at this. And I couldn't believe it. As I say, we weren't looking out for it. We don't monitor these things in particular.
Well, when you have a podcast, I don't know how other hosts do it, but Buzzsprout give you a sort of celebratory image that you can share with people when you've done 1,000 downloads, and then I can't remember exactly what the figures are, but it's like 5,000, 10,000, but it stops at I think 25,000 until you get to 50. So at 25,000, I was like, yay! And then I just forgot about it because it's so long. You have to double it to get to your next one.
Yeah.
So I hadn't even thought about reaching any of those. And then, when it popped through at the weekend, I was like, yay!
That was amazing.
50,000 downloads.
Amazing. So download is every time somebody accesses an episode of the podcast, and we've been doing this now for 3 years.
2021.
Really?
5 years in September.
5 years.
Yeah.
So the episodes that we've done, whether it be blogs, MyWise, whether it's our main 101 Loss episodes, all that sort of back catalogue, when somebody finds an episode like that, accesses it and listens to it, that's one download. So,
Yeah, and that is the confusing thing about podcasts. People are often like, do I have to actually download it to give you a download? And you don't. A listen gives us a download. So it is, it's a bit confusing. You don't have to actually download the episode.
Yeah.
But every listen. I think it has to be a listen of over like a minute or something. You don't get it just by listening for 3 seconds and then coming out again. But
if I imagine in my mind a sports stadium filled with 50,000 people, or arena, people watching a concert, 50,000 people, that's a lot of people.
It is.
And you think that our content, that we're trying to put a bit of good out there, restoring hope, finding hope, searching for hope in the midst of difficult, challenging circumstances, to think that content has reached 50,000 people.
Oh, hang on, I'm just doing the maths, because if one person listens to every episode we've done, which is nearly 200, that's only one person, but 200 downloads.
Potentially you're diluting our
I'm
good
massively
news.
diluting it. But that is the reality, I think.
Yeah, and the reality is, as
it'll
you
be
pointed
less
out a
people,
short while ago,
more
it's not
downloads.
50,000, it's 50,028
28. Push it up. We need it up.
is the exact
Yeah.
sum.
Yeah, so it might not be the amount of people, but definitely the amount of downloads.
Well done. Well done to you.
Thank you. Well done to
for
you.
all the extra episodes and bits you've put out. Well done to me for not questioning the lack of episodes in August.
Yes, you're a harsh taskmaster.
We are a good support for each other.
Yeah.
But it is, it's nice to mark these milestones in a sense.
And it is hard. It's really hard not to compare, because if you listen to any podcast that's, one of the big famous ones, potentially they'd be disappointed with 50,000 per episode. So it's really hard at times to then kind of think, oh, I've done this in 5 years. And it's not for me, it's for the guests. I would love the guests to think that they got like 100,000 downloads on their episode. I mean, that must be the coolest thing, to give people a platform for their stories, especially ordinary people. I want to say that, we've got so many ordinary people on our podcast, which is what I love. They're stories about real people going through real stuff. They're not celebrity interviews, which there are so many of nowadays. So I would love to give them like even more of a big platform, but it is such a hard medium to get found unless you have some sort of either celebrity presence or you make it such a full-time job.
Massive budget for adverts, for pushing stuff out there.
Very helpful.
All of that. But
so
then
it's
a good point to just pose that small challenge that if you're listening and you're thinking, yes, I would love this to be out there doing more good stuff, reaching ears where it needs to be heard. Maybe there's particular episodes that have really chimed with you. Is that the right sort of metaphor? I've struck a chord, another musical metaphor. Then if you haven't shared it on social media, if you haven't written a review, like rated the podcast or written a review on your podcast provider, some of them allow you just to give a little rating and to review the podcast. That's really helpful. Obviously, sharing episodes on social media gets this stuff out there. And then the algorithms with all these podcast providers, whether it's like Apple Podcasts or Spotify or what's the one you've got me into using?
Pocket Cast.
All the algorithms, obviously push to the front of the queue. Not that there is a queue, but push forwards in searches and things, those that are being listened to, those that are being found. I think you've mentioned it before on the podcast, but you asked AI, didn't you? You asked an AI engine to recommend podcasts about grief and finding hope in grief, and it didn't recommend the Silent Why podcast.
No.
And then you asked AI, why are you not recommending the Silent Why? And it gave you a very good answer.
Yeah, basically, I think that, I've told a lot of people this, that in some ways our podcast is a terrible idea for a podcast. And I think what it fed back to me was a little bit similar, because it's not on one track. So it's not just grief. It's lots of different types of grief. It does dilute down, I think. Well, it definitely does who listens to it. Each loss almost has its own audience. So each episode can do very well in its own little community. But it doesn't necessarily follow that the person who really loved that episode about, a cardiac surgeon and loss in surgery, or loss of a child, or loss of an arm, or loss of eyesight, it doesn't follow that person who liked that episode would want to listen to lots of stories about loss. So it's quite a niche little market of people who are actually interested in loss as a whole and all the different types of it. So I think when it comes to something like AI trying to work out what we're doing, it's probably something that's like, I don't know what to do with this. And that's probably partly our, we could market that better probably. Yeah, it was helpful to look at and think, yeah, okay.
What you're saying is we've turned up at a global virtual book festival to push a library.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. We've got a lot, which has its own little, area. But I think...
I can hear some of our supporters screaming, for goodness sake, you two, stop analysing everything.
Yes.
Stop trying to dig too deep and just enjoy the moment. So well done. 50,000 downloads is a lovely milestone to mark in July 2026, 5 years after starting the podcast, that we've reached 50,000 downloads.
And it's a nice time to have a pause. It's like pausing on a high, which is nice. I don't want to pause in a bad place. It's nice to... And I like to look at the locations and where we're picking up people. And mostly that 50,000 is split between North America and Europe. But we have also got quite a good little chunk, and in the thousands for Oceania. I never know how you pronounce that. Asia, South America, and Africa. So we're across all the little, lesser towards the end, more in the hundreds. But it's a nice split. I love looking across the world.
Amazing what the internet has allowed. A lot of bad stuff, but a lot of good stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely.
That we can broadcast, we can share messages of hope, encouragement. And they're picked up across the world. We
have reached Lost 66, so we're well over halfway. I know it's slowed down a bit in the last year, but Lost 66 of 101. That's not that many to go. No. I can't do the maths quick enough. But
we were in a run a couple of years back where we were doing those sort of every 10 episodes. We were doing a bit of a summary, weren't we, of the last 10, and they felt like they were coming around quite quickly.
Not anymore.
No, we'll get back on that. For goodness sake, you two. What are you doing?
We'll get back on it. We have got some really interesting ones actually already set to record over the summer for September. One in particular, I think this is a bit different, which is lovely. And we introduced Yaya, when was it? I don't know, a month or two ago, about loss of sight, which is one that for a long time I'd wanted to speak to somebody about. And it was really lovely to be able to chat to him really honestly about a young guy who just very suddenly lost his eyesight. And what is that kind of grief like? So that was good. And whenever I do one of those, it's a bit different or that we haven't spoken to you about before, it does reunite reignite my fire for finding some of the more losses. But obviously, as we go on, it's going to get harder. And there's some really obvious ones we haven't done yet, which I'm keeping for the right guests.
It's not going to get harder. I think it will be just the same.
To find them, I mean, harder to find.
Yeah.
When we get to 98, we might be really scrabbling around.
Yeah.
For a loss.
The loss of a toenail.
Yeah.
The loss.
We're going to be looking for anything you've lost in the house or in the last few weeks.
Well, you mentioned just a few words about being in not a great place a short while ago. And I thought, well, actually, I must ask what place you are in, because the last time we did this was around Christmas time.
New Year? Did we do New Year?
We did Christmas. Where are we? I think, did we do New? I don't know if we did New Year yet. But yeah, anyway, whether it was Christmas or New Year, that was 7 months ago, nearly 8 months ago.
Yeah.
So, what has the year been like? How could you even summarise the last 8 months?
Oh, crumbs. I don't know. I mean, it's still. I think in some ways it's a bit of a continuing journey, and I think a lot of people that listen know that I've had health things that have been frustrating over the last 10 years. I'm still on that journey. It's probably not where I'd like it to be.
We've been saying 10 years now for probably about 13 years.
Maybe, but it's been a long journey, and I did hope at the beginning of last year, not even this year, that I was on to a winner with this new treatment I was having. That's taken longer to settle than we hoped, and that it's really annoying because when my hormones are not in a brilliant place, it really affects a lot of things mentally for me. So the motivation and interviewing and coming up with ideas and contacting everything the podcast needs from me is really hard when I'm in that season. So that's part of my frustration, is that that's one of the things that suffers because, I do everything in-house. There's nothing that I don't have anybody doing anything else for me. So that's why the social media goes a bit quiet and I have to do all the editing. And so it's a difficult thing. And I feel for the podcast in particular because I think that takes the biggest hit when I'm in that place. So I think it's been a bit up and down with that still. So the last few months I feel it's still just a little bit surviving and just trying to get to a place where I feel like we can just hit start on life again and then just go for it. So maybe a little bit disappointing because by now I would definitely have thought I would have been in a slightly different place. But it's an upward trajectory. It's certainly not bad, and it's definitely the best I've been on so far. And there's a lot of good things. But summing up the last few months, I feel like I'm still just on that treadmill of just normal day to day, waiting for life to just really begin again. So hopeful for the back end of the year, but really feeling like this August is a nice time to just pause the podcasting stuff for a bit and try and get my mojo back with motivation. Yeah.
Well, if I can help you find your mojo,
thank you.
Then I will.
I do find, I'm sure a lot of people will feel this with grief, that when you're in a place that you're slightly down for some reason, whether that's because you're tired or you're stressed or you're going through another grief or there's stuff going on, it just highlights a lot of the stuff around you that would trigger, that's not my favourite word, but would trigger, the grief. So I do find that when I'm in this place, it's harder to be around people talking about children or people who have got really good careers or people that are on a high or things that are going really well. I find that a lot harder to be around when I'm like this, and I've thought about that a lot lately and thought I don't feel like that so much when I'm in a good place. And I imagine that's the same with a lot of people with grief. You can get to a stage where you're living with it and it's there, but it's not a downer day to day. And then maybe you go through a patch of just something being difficult or tiredness, and then suddenly that grief it feels like it just takes over a little bit more than it normally does. And so I have noticed a few more things of just trying not to dwell on stuff in a negative way. And that was why it was actually really good with the last episode I put out with Let's Chat, chatting to Karen Sutton, because she was talking about where we put our focus in grief and how that can have a huge impact on how things go, how we navigate everything. And she'd lost her husband very suddenly, left on her own, looking after their 2 young girls, but had this amazing kind of approach to, how important it is when you choose where to place your focus. And I'm quite intentional with stuff like that. So it's really helpful to speak to people like that and then just focus somewhere, even if you still feel it, just to have that focus in a healthier place rather than getting too caught up in the negative and then spiraling into something. Yeah, about you?
Yeah, great. How about me? Actually, what you were saying there, I thought we've made a friend this year, haven't we? Someone joined our church. Shout out to Mags, who's childless. She's aged in her early 70s, and never married, no children, and it's been lovely getting to know her and sharing some experiences. We've still got a lot to learn about her, but it's been lovely just adding that extra dynamic to our sort of church family and for our own good. We've become good friends with her, and just being able to ask those questions and having an ally, really, somebody else in a very family-friendly community, and has found contentment and peace with not having some of the things that we're still wrestling with. So that's been nice over the last 6 months. For myself, it's been a mixed year, I'd say. I'm very much heading towards that sort of a little bit like you were saying there. I'm heading towards that new year. Again, we're only 4 months from the next new year.
Don't say that.
Of saying, oh, that's another year done, and I don't feel like I've progressed in a sense. There's been the last 2 months, and this isn't to do, well, I don't know, I don't think it's to do with any of my sort of grief story, but I've really felt like I've been quite bad, unwell even with hurry sick, as some people might call it, hurry sickness. The last 2 months, our time has been filled. My time, certainly during my work, which has been full on. And then we've got a lot of commitments outside of work with church, with family, with some other projects that have required a lot of attention. So we've had several weeks where every evening we are out, I'm home from work, and then we eat, then we go and do something or part of a meeting or whatever, whether that's together or apart. And so I think I'm just coming out of that time, which I'm really grateful for, because the worst thing about it when I get into that place is it makes the days and the weeks absolutely fly by, because you're sort of rushing from one part of the day to next. You sort of get started in the morning and it's like, right, I've got only so much time to lunchtime, and the lunchtime comes and goes. It's like, I've only got so much time before I need to get home. And then you get home and it's like, oh crumbs, we've got to do all this and this before, and then it's the next day and we're like, oh, how's another day done already? And the time's absolutely flying by, and I'm reading things that are telling me about the benefit of stopping and appreciating and being thankful for and resting and Sabbath. And it just feels to me like a mirage. It's like, I don't know how to do that. I think I know how to do it, and I plan to do it, and then I don't do it, and I get frustrated that I've not done it. So that's the last few months, and I think the year started in quite a low place. I think I was quite low at the start of the year, and then it got much better, and has been a lot better from March, April onwards. But yeah, I think just to finish off with, I'd love to get to the end of a year and just feel like, wow, that was a really good year, rather than that was a year. What's the next year going to look? Looking ahead to the next year, I'd love to feel like we've done something in a year that's just been mega for us.
Life just feels too short. Maybe we're more aware of that because of who we're speaking to on the podcast and stuff, but life feels too short to have a whole year where not much happens, but also where you don't know how to change that. And I think that's what I've found quite frustrating. Some of the hurry stuff that we read, one of the really interesting things was someone pointing out that we've made the word slow such a negative thing. If someone is slow mentally, it's a bad thing. If sales are slow for a business, it's a bad thing. We've put this word slow on lots of things that are bad, rather than it actually being... I really like the idea of somehow redeeming the word slow, to bring it back to actually, this is a good thing. Like, living life slowly and enjoying it is a good thing. It's a good way to be. We shouldn't always have to be. We've got this whole kind of, it's bad to be fast and living a busy life and hurrying, but then we've got, oh, it's bad to be slow. It's like, well, where's your middle ground?
Definitely.
What have we got that's in the middle? So I do think it's a nice thing to try and redeem.
Well, I know, whether it's just the UK, whether it's elsewhere in the West, elsewhere in the world, I don't know. But certainly in the UK, I'm absolutely convinced it's not just a me thing, it's not just an us thing, because so many other people are talking about the same things. The last 3 months, the last 6 months have just been insane, like they weren't expecting. It's like, what is that? Is that something in the sort of the atmosphere? Is it something spiritual? What is it that so many people in the UK are talking about? Just the pace of life being unwanted, unwelcome, and surprised by it. Like we didn't want this, didn't plan for it. what's going to break or what's going to change. So it's not just a me thing,
No.
but it's definitely something in the water or in the atmosphere.
Yeah. No, I think it's something to be aware of. I don't quite know how to change it, but I think that's one of my frustrations, is that we start to book things in and we start to do more because I start to feel like I'm feeling better, and then we have a season like that where it's really busy and I'm just like, I can't sustain this. I'm not. And maybe nobody could, I don't know. And then you have to cut back again. And it'd be nice to just find a rhythm that's... I'd like to be healthy enough to find a rhythm and be able to keep it for a while. But also it'd be nice to find a rhythm in life where you're not heading into weeks that are mad and crazy and then weeks that are empty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do just wonder if that's life nowadays and we just have to
Well, our
adjust.
expectations are pretty high, aren't they? We expect and hope for some really good things. And again, those things you read and hear about just being thankful for the small stuff. It's like, I understand it and I get it, but it's not good enough for me. Maybe that's wrong. I want bigger. I want better, bolder.
Yeah, I think we spent a long time being thankful for small things. I think there can be a time when you do that and you do it for a long time that you can be a little bit like, I want more. It's easier for people to be thankful for small things, I think, when they have a lot sometimes.
Yeah. Don't settle
Or
for
nothing.
50,000 downloads when you could have 50,028.
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't know. Life is confusing nowadays. It's difficult and it's hard, and it feels like you can't really speak about half the subjects that are out there that are interesting because everyone's got strong opinions on things, and yeah, it's not easy out there. So I think we do what we can.
There's two little individual nice little moments. One, you had a special visit from somebody we met through the podcast.
I did, yes.
Lovely friend.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
Yes, I had Maddie come and visit, which is lovely. She was one of our guests on the episode where I spoke to two people from a hospice. And she was one of the managers there, and so she was talking about what life is like in a hospice. And we did meet her when we went up to see round the hospice when we were passing after I'd done the episode to meet her in person. But I've only met her once. But yes, I've kept in contact with her, and yes, she popped in. Actually, she said to me, I'm passing on this particular date because we're right next to a motorway, and people travel up and down the country, and so quite often if people are passing, they can just stop in. And she said she was passing, and she said, can I pop in on this date? And it happened to be my birthday. So I was like, yes, of course you can. So, yeah, she came for a couple of hours and we had a catch up, and it was lovely, really lovely to see her. So, yeah, I love making friends through the podcast, and there's so many I'd like to, meet in the flesh one day. I've got another one. Laurie was one of our guests on the podcast. She's in Canada. I love sharing experiences with her about what life is like in Canada with the snow and the sunshine, and they've got raccoons in their country, for Pete's sake. And yeah, we've never met in the flesh. So one day I'd like to meet her. So yeah, there's lots of things like that are always lovely. So it was really nice to spend time with Maddie.
And then also one of the podcast's biggest fans, who's such an encourager, that we couldn't believe when we connected with her that she lives about 40-second walk from our house.
Yeah, she's the same number as us in the next street.
In the next street along. Sarah, who's joined the
Sarah Henderson.
Buy Me a Coffee clan.
Yeah, so Sarah Henderson gets a shout out because of the level that she bought on Buy Me a Coffee. So shout out to Mrs. Sarah Henderson.
What do you mean, the level that she bought on Buy Me a Coffee?
Well, that's what we'll explain next.
Okay.
So Sarah signed up to be a regular member on Buy Me a Coffee. And you can do this. I just want to point out, you can do this for 1 month or you can do it for a continuous section of months. We really don't mind. Either way, you get some benefits depending on the level that you sign up to. So the levels starts at £3 a month. And there's not a lot of bonuses for that level, I'll be honest.
it's a minimal giving. It's more blessed.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see what I've actually put on the website. What do you get? You get the knowledge that I will be doing a small dance of joy and thanks. There you go. It does I was going to say brighten my heart. That can't be the right
lift.
It lifts my heart.
It brings me cheer.
You get that level. There's £5 where you get a shout out on the website, and then there's £10, £15, £20 and £40, which I've never had anyone sign up to, but there are lots of benefits, including a one-on-one chat and Zoom with me. Which I'm sure nobody wants.
I'm going to sign up to that. I need to reread the award.
You can have a written or audio interview on the podcast, basically, about anything you want to chat about. Now, you don't have to... I was thinking about this. You don't have to sign up for more than 1 month with any of these. Like I said, you get the bonuses if it's just for 1 month. So I probably shouldn't be pushing that, but I do want people to know that. So that £40 a month, if you just wanted to come on the podcast and chat and have a Zoom with me, apparently, and a blog topic, there's a whole bunch of things you get for that £40, but you don't need to do it once. So yeah, anyway, we've got these different levels, and you can sign up to these. And Sarah signed up to one of the levels, which gives her a voucher for 25% off her next Herman, a shout out on our support page on the website, and a shout out on the podcast, which is what we're doing now.
Whoop, whoop.
And then she can also choose a blog topic or a film or TV review for me to do as a My Way episode. So yeah, that's what you get from that. You can just buy a coffee on there. They're actually fancy teas for me because I don't drink coffee. Or you can sign up regularly. So one off or sign up. If you want to support the podcast in any way, shape or form, that's the way to do it. And I want to just thank everybody for those that do support, either one off or regularly. We've said this many times. This podcast is literally continues to go because of these people. I currently am not in any paid employment. I don't have any income coming in. There's no benefits. There's nothing I bring to our household financially. So these people are keeping it going. I don't know if it was a cost to run, if we would have kept going with the podcast, because putting this much effort into something that is costing you money is very different from doing something that actually pays for itself. So I am very grateful, as I know a lot of you listening will be, that these people pay to keep the podcast running. So thank you to everybody. Another high, just thinking of people who've been generous supporters over the years, is another previous guest, Greg, messages me quite regularly. He loves England. He's over in America, and he's often talking about stuff he's seen on TV, or I'll share stuff. And he told me about a book recently that he'd read, Theo of Golden. I haven't read it yet. It's in my book pile. And I went to go and get it at the local library, and there were 45 people ahead of me waiting for this book. And I have never seen more than about 6 people ahead of me. And that was for a Jilly Cooper that's been made into a Disney Plus season. But this one is obviously huge and very popular, and not many copies of it. So I said to him, I put my name on the list, might be a while, and bless him, he sent it to me in the post. So, yeah, there's some lovely blessings from you listeners out there, and I'm so grateful for every person who comments on something, who likes us, one of our social media posts, who follows, who shares it, who donates money, who tell other people about it. It's just lovely. One of our listeners said that she went for some therapy, and she was telling the counsellor all about our podcast in case it was helpful. I was like, that's amazing. So yeah, just so grateful for everyone out there that has helped us get to 50,000 downloads. So 50,028.
Okay.
It might even be higher.
Don't.
I'm gonna check while you're listening if this could be a huge huge letdown, because I only checked a few hours ago, so there's a very high chance it's the same. But I'm just going to log into Buzzsprout.
Okay, while you're doing that, Sarah, if you need any inspiration for recommending a blog topic or something like a film review that features grief and loss, The Ballad of Wallace Island.
Oh, that is a good one. I should do that anyway.
Recently watched that twice.
Yeah, we did.
And that's lovely, very funny.
Really lovely, beautiful theme of loss through it. It was a
British
short
comedian called
thing.
Tim Key, with a friend of his when they were younger. They made a short film, quite sort of home movie-esque, and they were basically just doing it again with a budget, with a studio behind it. Yeah, did a really good job. British people know Tim Key for things like I'm Alan Partridge and whatever else. Yeah,
it was really good, and I massively recommend it. Very light, very gentle, very, very sweet. Yeah, worth watching. And the numbers are in.
It's gone up.
It has gone up. We have 50,029 downloads. Yes. Thank you to that one person that just downloaded.
Oh, be still my beating heart.
I wish it could tell me the last place it got downloaded, but I don't think it does. So no. Never mind. But
okay.
Yeah, that was really cool.
This was supposed to be a short chat, by the way.
I know, and now I've got to edit 40 minutes worth of podcast.
Sorry about that.
Anyway, it's fine. We do it for the listeners.
Good job, we're in such a good place mentally.
Well, yes. Even though before we did this, I was like, I don't feel like doing this. It's amazing what I can do for my listeners. Yeah, just to say that, yes, we have got more episodes coming up. Somebody said to me a while ago, one of the listeners messaged and said, what are you going to do when you get to 101? I'm really sad that you're going to stop. We don't know. But it's taken us 5 years to get to 66, so there's a good chance we're here for at least another 4 to 5 years.
Oh, imagine the celebration.
And
we have to plan something when we get to 101.
Yeah, you are listening to 2 almost OCDE perfectionist completer finishers. So I don't think I could live with myself knowing there's a podcast out in the world with my name on it that did not complete its mission.
No.
So if we have to rush them out in 5-minute episodes, we will get this out. Yeah. So definitely not going anywhere. I've also got an episode I want to do that a couple of people have asked me about, because I have mentioned it to people. A lot of you know that I had an Auntie Olwyn who died earlier in the year. She was 106. And I want to do an episode on the loss of her because I do think the loss of someone that old is very different to the loss of a different age. But also, she went through the Second World War here in England, in Portsmouth, as a 20-year-old. She's got a lot of amazing war stories. We interviewed her about them quite a few years ago, and I've got them all on audio. So I want to put together an episode. I haven't managed to do it yet, but I will do it after the break, of us chatting about her, about the loss, but we're also going to play quite a few of her stories. So we've got an episode that compiles them all together somewhere. And they're really lovely, very human stories about the war in England. And they had a lot of bombing where she was. So she's got a lot of experience of that sort of loss. So yes, I'm really looking forward to putting that together.
That'll be a complex episode to put together.
It will. That's why I've slightly put it off, because we need to sit down and talk between stories and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I want to do it just for those of us in our family that want to hear it, but also for it's just like a I was say memento of her, but that doesn't sound right. My brain's not working brilliantly,
No,
but you know what I mean.
I can't.
A thing that just is out there about her.
Yeah, memorial in a sense.
Maybe someone's shouting the word at us, but anyway, yeah, you know what I mean. One of those
tribute.
Things. A tribute, yeah, that's it. Yeah, a tribute to her. So that's coming up, and like I said, we've got another couple of losses that are going to be interesting, and we will be back in September. I haven't set a date for which Tuesday that will be, but it will be September.
It's timed very well, by the way, because there is an emerging next door on the trampoline.
Oh, they're arriving.
So, we've timed this very well.
Perfectly. I meant to say perfect. Oh, my word. This is why I'm not doing much on social media at the moment. My brain. Okay, yeah, so thank you for listening and for being here. Thank you for all the downloads. Thank you to those who are still faithfully sticking with us, even when we're a bit less on the ball with interviews and things. And be assured that we are still here, still thinking, still working hard for it, and we will definitely be back in September.
Check the number again.
Check the number. Okay. I'm almost 100% sure this won't have changed. I don't think I've ever felt so confident about anything in my life. I'm just going to refresh the page. Nope.
50,000 and
it would have been nice to have gone out on 50,030. I could probably make it happen with my phone, but I won't.
We won't do that.
No.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Good on you. Have a good August. Enjoy your writing.
Thank you. I really will.
And I'll see you as soon as we
finish this.
Stop recording. And we'll hear you again on the podcast.
Yeah.
In September.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.